Hello, everyone. This is Raution Jaiswal, CEO and co-founder of InsuredMine, and you are listening to the 30 Minutes with Insurance CEO podcast. The show that is designed to inspire growth and impact so you can create the best version of your agency by learning from the leading insurance agency CEO. And I am very fortunate and delighted to have with me today Terry Hyland, the CEO of Hyland Group, Hyland Insurance, and I will let him talk a little bit about his agency and a little bit of his profile before we jump in, because his profile is more than what you would have known because of the legacy and how they have been into business for a couple of generations now. So welcome, Terry. Good morning, and I will let you do a quick introduction before we jump right in.
Hello, Raution. Thanks for having me, and honored to be invited to participate on your podcast here. It means a lot. You've been a great partner and certainly a good friend. So thank you. My name's Terry Hyland with Hyland Insurance. We're based here in Louisville, Kentucky. We got about 45 employees. Founded in 1983 by my father and uncle, who started the organization with two guys and a dream, really, and both came basically from outside the industry and got into the insurance business. Fast forward many years, I came into the business in 1997 after graduating college, jumped right into the commercial space as a commercial producer, and still actively have a commercial book of business, and we'll write something from time to time. So been doing this since 1997 personally. It's been a great ride, a great journey, and still have a ways to go. But now more recently been working and elevating myself into the president / CEO role most recently.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Terry. And again,
Sure.
As we always say, it's the path that, what I'm always very inspired and really excited to see is how you have been such a proponent of technology and automation and how you are changing the face of your organization. But we'll talk about all of that. Let's start with the first question, which is usually my icebreaker, which is what I say, hey, what did you had for breakfast today?
It was a great old Cliff Bar. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Too much coffee in a Cliff Bar.
there you go. Coffee, man. I joke about this that, I think if you look into my, do some kind of a blood test, I think I have less blood and more caffeine in my veins.
Yeah.
It's like that's what we all live on. So,
Yeah. It's been trying to get more water in there before I get into the coffee, but yeah, no, it was just grab a Cliff Bar this morning after my morning routine, and off we went.
so are you a big breakfast guy or no? Just get your morning started and keep running.
Yeah, typically not. No, I do a little morning routine where I get up and exercise and stretch a little bit, kind of get my mind right. Actually, I did a cold plunge this morning into a cold bath.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was cold.
Uh,
But then after that, yeah, shower up and grab a Cliff Bar and off we go.
Awesome. So let's now get back into a little bit about agency. So how would you define your agency?
How would I define our agency? As we're an agency of, try to be a leading edge agency. And that's obviously lends itself to strong technology, but also a leading edge in terms of philosophy, in terms of a culture that we want to be not necessarily cutting edge, but leading edge and be a leader in our industry. And I think that's part of who we are. The other way I would kind of define our agency is we're really trying to help our folks and our clients achieve their goals. If we can do that, if we can help our employees achieve what they're trying to achieve in their personal lives, and obviously our clients and their protection and or achieve their goals, we can play a small part in that, then we would define ourselves as a success.
Awesome. All right. Just for our viewers and listeners, just understand a little bit the size of your agency, how many employees, customers, premium. And again, if any of those numbers you don't want to share, it's okay.
Yeah, there's no secrets. We're right at 45 employees today. We're all here in Louisville, Kentucky. Not all. We have a few remote employees, and we had a few remote employees prior to COVID, believe it or not. We were Zooming 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you saw that, or was it a preparation for some other thoughts?
We, believe it or not, our controller, whose husband is in the military, came to us, and we have tremendous trust in her. She came to us several years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I have to give my notice. My husband's relocated. We're moving." And we literally fell to the ground like, "No, you're not." So once we got ourselves back up and thought about it, we're like, why don't we try this? I think there's some technology that we can stay connected. If you want to try to work from home, we'll do it. Let's give it a 6-month trial period. If it doesn't work for us, let's be adults. We'll tell you. If it doesn't work for you, let's be an adult and tell us it doesn't work. Well, here we are 7, 8 years later. She's now in Kansas. We have an employee down in Florida. So we do have a few remote employees, but primarily we're here in the office 5 days a week, as an in-office operation. So we're, probably in terms of premium around 40 million in premium. Have a full complement of divisions. Our base is the personal lines. That's where this agency was built. It's not the largest division anymore, but it's the backbone, is what I like to call it. It's the old steady Eddie. Maybe not so much nowadays, but it's been the little engine that could, and it's been what we've used to build the other divisions. Obviously, a very vibrant commercial department. Employee benefits and senior care are two newest divisions that started about 6.5, 7 years ago. And then we have a financial services arm as well. So yeah, that's kind of an overview of who we are.
So it's kind of encompassing literally the entire, financial advisory kind of, have one-stop shop kind of an experience that you want to give to your customer. Right. It seems like.
Yeah, we have branded it as our single source solution, and of course, not every client uses us all for everything. However, that's our approach, and even if you don't purchase your health insurance from our EB division, they're here to help you. If you're a commercial client or a personal client, if you have a question, give us a call. We'll help you. But for those who have, that we do work with you on multiple fronts, there's tremendous efficiencies to our clients on the back end. Most of our clients are not huge operations. We don't have Amazon and UPS as clients and Churchill Downs and all those great companies. We have those companies that are 30 employees to 250, 300 employees. A lot of those don't have its own risk manager. It doesn't have its own HR team. So it's the same person trying to manage all of these pieces of the insurance process and financial services process, employee benefits. Well, if we have a point of contact, we can do a lot of work on behind the scenes to make it a more efficient relationship.
See, that's a very interesting thing you just said, because, a lot of this, one of the core audience that we cater to here is all the aspirant who wants to be at your position, who wants to have that 10 to 50 employee base, and it's a tough one, it's tough to break that mold of 10. You can get there somehow to the 10, but, crossing that, then you need to figure out what is my, mix of the kind of policies I'm selling. And, how do you get to what you are talking about is building that one-stop shop. And of course, it also creates a lot of cross-selling opportunity with you. Like, hey, I have all of these personal lines. How am I selling them other services?
Yeah. And it takes time. It takes time. It takes trust is probably the biggest piece internally, because, especially with a sales team, I don't want to bring in another person to only mess up this relationship.
For sure.
For sure. And that just doesn't happen. That doesn't mean mistakes and issues don't pop up. We deal with those. but the relationship is not damaged because we haven't seen it happen, because there's a tremendous amount of trust, and the person that is being referred in respects it and respects the relationship that their fellow salesperson has established. So it takes time, a lot of work, of course, but trust is a key element for it too.
Uh, Great. I'm curious to ask you, as you said in the beginning, that had because your dad and your uncle started, and I think it becomes natural that you grew up kind of in that environment. You heard a lot of lingo at dinner table and all of that, and kind of became a second nature of being into this business. So, what else would you have done if not insurance?
Well, of course, I was going to be the next NBA All-Star, but that didn't quite work out. But I don't know, aspirations to be an attorney. I don't
Is
know
it?
why. I don't know why, but actually, I always figured I'd probably do something in sales. A lot of family members are in sales, and really everybody's in sales at the end of the day.
Of
Even your
course, of course.
professionals, doctors and lawyers, and but as far as another professional, yeah, I always thought maybe the attorney thing would work out for me, but
Well, I have to be careful now.
I'm glad I did. I'm glad that didn't work out.
Uh, what, so again, I think, talk to me about the journey from where you took over
Yeah.
and what was that inflection point and that journey till date. Talk
Yeah.
about that a bit because that gives everybody your frame.
Wow. And it has been just in a short amount of time. I mean, the leadership transition from my dad to myself took time. And perpetuating a business is difficult. That's a whole
Yep.
other podcast, probably.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not just the financial piece. That's probably the easier piece of it. It's the day-to-day responsibilities. And
Yeah.
so officially, we made this transition from a legal and ownership and transition February of 2020.
Okay.
You know what was going
Wow.
on? You know what
It's
was
like
going on
24
February
years.
2020? Yeah. And so everybody in the world can blame me for this whole thing called COVID, because
Yeah.
that's when I, really started running the business
February,
officially.
March. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So,
yeah.
and then at the same time, we moved into a new office space. Um, and so there was just a lot going on. So that's really how, again, officially, there was some other things going on previously to that in terms of a transition, but that's when the gavel was passed for a literary term. But
Mhm.
so, yeah, if you go through that journey, first 2 years of 2020 and a little bit into 2021 of managing people, managing the health of people. I mean, really, it got down to, how are we, going to manage and take care and keep everybody safe, move into a new office, and then, try to keep this thing going. Um, so that's how it started. And then we do several key acquisitions
Yeah.
in
How many
22.
since then? You know,
Four, four,
there you
three
go. Yeah,
significant,
wow.
three significant, and one smaller kind of book of business, basically. But in the
Mhm.
history of our organization, I'd say we've done 10 to 12
Mhm.
acquisitions from time to time. And the last three, except for that one I mentioned, have been the largest. So
Wow.
we continue to swim upstream in terms of our acquisitions and learning a lot every time we go. But so that's been a big part of the integration piece, of bringing people in, focusing on new people. One acquisition, basically not quite, but almost doubled our agency. And so we
Wow.
had brought on 16 or 17 people into our office. We brought them here. And so there's a lot of time that needs to be spent on the people and getting them welcomed and comfortable and culturally bought into what we're doing. So
Mhm.
it's been a journey just in the last 4 years
Yeah.
of, being the leader, being responsible for the organization because of those things.
Well, personally, I've been through that whole COVID thing, and I don't envision it ever happens again. And, nobody
Yeah,
wants to be in that position,
that's
but
right.
I think everybody did fantastic considering, hey, whatever you could. So what would you say in this last 4 or 5 years have been your biggest challenge so far in growing your business? Through acquisition or COVID or other challenges that now hard market, how, if you put all of these, what has been the biggest challenge?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is keeping our team on the same page. That and getting to complete as much as you can buy-in from your team, from our team, that they understand what the mission is and what our goals are, where we're trying to go, and clearly providing that vision to them. There's always going to be challenges. There's never seen anything like this current personal lines market, for example. Hopefully,
Right.
similar to COVID, hopefully never see it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a challenge. And so we're having to pivot and get better in different things. But the only way that we can do that is if everybody has clarity on the vision, has clarity
Yeah.
on our purpose, has clarity on what the goals are for the organization.
How do you do that? That's a very interesting thing you said. I don't hear that often when people say, hey, I get everybody on the same page. How do you keep them aligned? Just, hey, we all are walking the same direction in the same cadence. What a couple of things of
Yeah. Right.
Terry's brand.
Yeah. Well, for one is repetition. Hear it and hear it
Yeah.
and hear it. Every agency meeting, we have quarterly agency meetings. We touch on some numbers, of course, but we also touch on our core values. Touch on this is our 1 year goal. This is where we see ourselves in 3 years and ultimately in 5 years. We don't spend a lot of time on the 5 year, but that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And then it gets down to Raution. After you set the vision and set this, this is where we're going. It gets down to personal relationships. You mentioned one of our key people that's been elevated into a new role.
Yep.
I met with her this morning about, all right, do you understand, do you have any questions about your new role? And do you have is there any questions? Let's do a self-evaluation on our core values. Are you struggling with any of these areas? And then ultimately your short-term goals, are they clear? Or do you think they're right? Do they need to be adjusted? And it's just having this ongoing, open, personal relationship with our team. And now the leaders can go out and do that same type of, meeting with the folks that they work with daily.
I'm curious, let's double click on that for a moment. So, do you have to define that roadmap, that expectation, or it's a collaborative, or it is them who come up, hey, this is what my new role and my newer trajectory looks like?
So, yeah, that's a great question because this person that I'm speaking about, you know her, you get to work with her a little bit. It is a newer role. And the
Yeah.
leadership team yesterday, she started talking about it and got really excited. You could just see her
The
energy and her
passion.
heart,
Yep.
passion came through about wanting to take something and make it hers. And after she was finished, I looked at her, I said, that's what you need to do. Let's go do it. And so we talked about it a little bit more this morning about what's her vision, what's the next step on getting that implemented. So it's providing the framework, saying, all right, here's where we see your role, and then freedom, take
Awesome.
it,
Awesome.
within the boundaries, obviously, of the company, and letting your stars shine. And, that's why we hire talented people and bring talented people on board, is to let them be talented and do
Exactly.
their thing.
I say this all the time, I hire talented or intelligent people, so I don't tell them what they have to do. Rather, they can tell me what needs to be done,
That's right.
right?
100%.
Otherwise it's a
100%.
waste.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to support and have an organization that has that open dialogue and says,
Yeah.
all right, how can we help you create this thing that you want to create and make it, a big part of our organization and a big part of our future. So it's exciting when that happens. I mean, it was one of the best leadership meetings we've had because you could see light bulbs going on. And like I told her this morning, I said, your energy almost blew the roof off. And that's amazing. And that's where you need to stay.
Awesome. Now from the company, from employees, let's talk about you. What do you see or have been personally been your biggest challenge as a CEO, since you took over? Because, hey, going to bed with all of those things in head, it's not easy. Or waking up and then there is 10,000 things already in motion. Man, it's a tough place to be.
It is. And I'm going to get kind of vulnerable here, but for me, the challenge that I had was getting out of my own head and leading with my heart. And then just the example that I gave you earlier, it's, go do that rather than, what can't be done. You can factualize or you can justify or talk yourself out of anything in your head. But sometimes you got to get out of your own way and let trust yourself to do the same thing. And as a leader, that's what I'm really working on, is allowing myself to get out of my own way, let the leaders of the organization lead, and let the stars continue to do what they do. And it's a fun thing to watch. Wow. But at first I was like, I've got to come up with the ideas. I've got to be the one that comes up with all that.
That's very inspiring. So other aspiring CEOs or small agency CEOs, who look up to you, what would you advise to them on how to get there? Because, what you have been talking about is not something just happens. Right. You've been into a training to get to that mindset of, hey, this is how I'm going to lead, how intentional I am about my leading practices.
Yeah. It's a great question, and I don't know how, exactly how you get there. I guess it's a little bit of trial and error. There's some of that. You have to figure out what doesn't work to appreciate what does. But with anybody, a salesperson, our service team, aspiring CEOs, is to really lead with, set the vision. This is where you got to have where you want to go before people are going to follow you, and create that picture, constantly remind folks of it. And then day to day, lead with your heart and lead with a purpose on trying to help people grow.
That's amazing. I'm sure people are taking notes on this. Now let's talk about operations a bit. How do you talk a little bit about people, process, and technology? Again, and you are a big proponent of putting these together. So how do you leverage these three in tandem at your organization?
That's the key. Is how can we work it all together, right?
Yeah.
Because we have outstanding people. And the processes, how, especially in today's market, the processes have to be strong and they have to be consistent, because that's what we're selling now on the front end is our processes. And then how can the automation piece come into that and make ourselves available to folks? For example, on personal lines renewals, we're putting a calendar, we have reviewed your policies. Please set a time to meet with us. We want to talk to you. Set a time to meet with us. And so that's where the technology piece comes in to support our people who have the knowledge and the expertise to be an insurance advisor in our process. So how that all goes together, that's just one example of it. But technology is huge. It's a piece of the puzzle that's, and it's difficult, especially coming out of COVID. There was one thing that happened during COVID is all the technology companies knew everybody was sitting around, could take calls. So it was one after the other. That's where you and I met, and InsuredMine, and where we started with InsuredMine. But now it's like, all right, let's stay focused. Which application works for us? rather than, hey, this is the new shiny new nickel, the shiny new toy that's out there. How can
Yeah.
this automation support our people and support our processes to make us better?
And in fact, the reality is with InsuredMine and you guys have been, it's not been just hey, jump on this and just run. It has been a very slow, gradual adoption, but now it has become a center of that universe now for you guys, where your processes are getting influenced every day with what you guys are doing with
Yeah,
InsuredMine.
100%. And part of that part of that early adoption was I was trying to be in charge of it.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Secondly, we've gotten better. So now we have somebody that's our InsuredMine Pro, InsuredMine Champion, that knows the ins and outs of it, has a wonderful working relationship with you, and is involved in it day to day, and is involved in the servicing of our clients, and knows the system, knows the processes, and also knows the people. So she's able to coordinate that much better than I can, or was able to, obviously, because it was. But we hung in there. We hung in there, and it got some early wins. The support was there from me. I knew we needed it,
Yep, yep.
and that we were going to find a way. But it actually ultimately took me getting out of the way, letting somebody else step forward as the champion, and now we're rolling.
It's interesting, this is a line I try to draw, and I usually try not to talk InsuredMine because that's not the purpose. So, but I crossed that line. I apologize, and I'll come back to the focus.
It's been a great thing. No, and it's just one of the mechanism, and it's we talked. It's just one of them, but it's with really anything, automation, a new process. It's staying committed to it. Early, get some slow, small victories, and continue to grow, continue to develop. It takes time.
How important is data, and what are some of the key data points that you usually look for?
Yeah, I mean it gives clarity, and clarity is power. And so data is extremely important. We have multiples, what we call scorecards that we use. That a lot of it, again, not an InsuredMine commercial here, but a lot of it we extract from InsuredMine, in terms of policies per account, number of accounts, obviously premium. What I've used it for here early in the year is just getting a good, quick picture of our carriers. What are we doing with Travelers, Safeco, all of them, Grange. I don't want to leave anybody out. But before we have a meeting with them, look at my data. Where are we at? Personal, commercial. Where do they rank within our agency? So we can tell them you are number one, number two, number three, whatever carrier
Nice.
for us, and that's how
Nice.
important you are to us. It was very valuable. So data is important. It's right. It's becoming the king, but I don't think anything will overtake cash. But data is
Gold.
very, very valuable.
Well, gold is there. But and I also think, the more you see data, the more you are becoming conscious of it, and the more cleaner and quality data is becoming a part of your day to day.
That's right. Yeah. And again, I almost look at it daily, but we do within our leadership team have data points, of where we are, and it's the truth, and you can't move forward till you recognize and accept the truth. And data gives you the truth. And sometimes it's great news, and sometimes it's a lot of work to be done. But it is what it is, and now you can move forward to say, let's adjust it or let's enhance it. Let's double down on this, or let's go back to the retrench and fix this issue.
Now let's take a broader industry-wide. What's your take on the industry right now? Any major shifts? There's so much happening. With hard market, with all these attorney situations is becoming a nightmare every day, right? And then all of this. We'll talk about macro in a bit about all the other things, but let's stay on the insurance per se, industry per se. What are you seeing any major shift, or what's your current read?
Yeah, we're in a tough spot. It's a challenging market. I've never seen anything like it. Like I said, I've been doing this since really 1996, but officially started in 1997. Never seen anything like it, and there's lots of reasonings of how we've gotten here, outside influences, industry mistakes. And my question to a lot of the carriers is, how did we mess this up so bad? Because we were rolling right along, and then boom, it changed
Suddenly,
overnight, basically. So it is, it's a challenge where, but I do think, we're resilient. Agents are resilient. The industry is resilient. It's made it through tougher times than this, through the Great Depression and whatever. The insurance companies are going to be fine. The agents are going to be fine. What I truly believe, though, at some point is the local independent agency is going to be just more valuable probably to the insurance companies than before, meaning we know the risk. We know the people. We're doing the frontline underwriting. We know the areas that you can't quite capture maybe on a algorithm. And so anyway, I think it's challenging. I think we are resilient. I think we're going to make it through it. There's been always been a demise of the independent agent. Banks are going to come in.
Everybody, yeah.
Internet's going to come in, wipe us out. This hard market, this is it. This is the nail in the coffin. I don't see that happening. There's too many great entrepreneurial spirits in this industry to get past it. It's just going to take time and a lot of resiliency.
I appreciate that, that faith and that resilience of, and you have seen it through the time. So, it's not just a statement of because you think so, it's what you have seen. So,
right.
Interesting. So now let's expand that even further to the economic landscape, with all the uncertainty, with the interest rates, with elections coming, and then insurance itself has gone through all this turmoil. What else are you seeing in later 2024 or 25? Hey, what is that bright light that we are looking at, if there is one?
Yeah, I have to get out my crystal ball. You didn't give me a heads up to bring that. But, there's always going to be that. In my opinion, Raution, some of that stuff is way out of my control. And there's always going to be outside influences, geopolitical type stuff, political, even down to, the city of Louisville has had its challenges. And, getting insurance in downtown Louisville became an issue for a little bit. Because of violence and so forth. So, there are always going to be some outside influences. I don't know. Yeah. So the economy, hopefully the interest rates for all of us help this inflation piece, get that under control and maybe get it down, not only slow it down, but get prices of everything back down. I think that helps everyone in general. Talking to other business owners outside of the industry, there's some headwinds right now. And, in the distribution space and the industrial space, I think it's finally trying to catch up, that people are, okay, let's slow the spending down a little bit. Historically, again, I'm no economist, but historically the insurance industry itself is a little bit of a lagger.
Yep.
It feels the effects a little bit later than some. So I think maybe, since we're feeling the pinch right now, then hopefully we're at the tail end of it and it can start to flip in a more positive direction.
Well, you spoke like a true economist. I had no clear answer, but you talked about everything.
Yeah, but I didn't say anything. Like a meteorologist. I got it all.
Yeah, right. Awesome. Hey, no, this is great so far. So I appreciate it. So
Sure.
Heading into the last few minutes of the podcast, so I'll ask the same fast 4 questions, at the end of every podcast, and
sure.
Answer short and clear, just 60 seconds. So, 1, your biggest business challenge, or the one where you can improve the most in your agency.
Going forward? Yeah.
Yes.
Going forward is continuing to have a clear vision for the company. I think that is a challenge, and not only having the vision, but getting our team to
To align to that.
align to it and believe it is the number one challenge for me going forward.
What person has helped you the most inside or outside of the company?
I, I've been my story is I've been so blessed to have unbelievable mentors. Obviously, my dad and uncle are first and foremost, but some other uncles that are tremendous role models for me. I have some clients, believe it or not, that I've worked
Nice.
with for a long time that are quiet mentors, and I've told them now because that you don't know it. You just thought you might have been buying insurance from me, but all along I was watching you because I respected how you ran
Nice.
your business. And so that, and then I've just been so lucky to be exposed to some of the best agents in the country through some affiliations that we've had, and some in Minnesota, to South Carolina, to out west, just some of the best and brightest, and to
Mhm.
be able to be around those people on a regular basis has truly been invaluable.
Well, that leads me to the next one, the network associations or the user groups, which one are you active with?
Yeah, so we were a master agency, and I helped run a master agency within the SIA network for many, many years since basically since I started. We launched that in 1998. It's called AHA Insurance Network. Um, and through that affiliation, again, I got to meet some of the best and brightest entrepreneurial agents in the country. So that by
Uh,
far has been the most influential organization that
So
I've
you
been.
recommend that, I guess, to everybody, be part of these networks and associations.
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome. Last question, what
Sure.
does success looks like to you and your company in the next 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, so we have our goals and our where we want to go, and without getting too far into the weeds, I think first success is everybody to understand the vision and
Hmm.
not only understand it but live it and believe it, and then yeah, we have some aspirations to continue to grow. We want to be the premier, locally owned, independently operated, independent agency in this area. And we think we can do that. We have to continue to work every day, continue to work together every day, elevate some people like we talked about earlier, to let them shine, let them run in their area and build something special.
Amen. This is perfect. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all your insights, sharing your leadership thoughts. I'm sure this will benefit a lot of folks who are aspiring to get to this position where some of them can get there. So thank you for sharing all of this.
Raution, thank you. You've been a good friend over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been a pleasure to work with you and watch you develop your company.